what I'm going to do now is give you the demo on setting up your area. And there's just, you know, for some people, you'd have done this a lot. Others may never have done it. Okay, and there's a few things, considerations, and a few things to think about in it. How many of you watched the kit packing demo? Okay, so what you remember is the first thing in the top is your Basha, your waterproof kind of tarp. So not that hard to imagine. It could be absolutely peeing down with rain at the moment. So the last thing you want to do is have to pull everything out of your rucksack to get to the waterproof bit, because you know everything gets wet. So first of all, when looking at the area, have a quick check up, and what you want to see is lots of green, lots of light, and thin branches. What you don't want to see, for example, is stuff that looks like this, that's kind of up in a tree, because that's kind of a dead branch that's got saturated with water, and it's a killer. In the jungle, it's the biggest killer of soldiers, deadfall. You know, the soldier sits under a tree with his helmet on, gets some food, has a sleep, which soldiers do a lot of, and then it's absolutely silent. At some point the water gets so full in the branch that it just drops and breaks the neck. So really just check up, make sure there's no saturated kind of dead heavy branches above you. In terms of where you are, have an obvious check that it's not a water course or an animal through course, that there's kind of it's an animal track. Not that they'd bother you really in this country, but you don't want to kind of get in nature's way anyway. In terms of comfort and temperature, if you're sleeping on the floor, don't sleep in a hollow. You think it's a good idea as a windbreak, but actually it's the coldest part of a forest. You know, cold air falls, so that it gets really cold in those little hollows in a forest. So just something, you know, something like this is ideal. Okay, so there's my Basha. Then, if it is raining, and it's good admin anyway, just close it back up and seal it back over. Okay. So, those of you that have got a tarp have probably got one of these, which is a stuff sack. Put that in a pocket, because you're going to need it in a minute. Okay, so you get your Basha out. Has anyone bought a new one for the trip? Okay, have you got string on the edges?
I think so.
If you haven't put it on, there won't be. But I've got some spare. So, what you're looking for initially is the middle seam. So the middle seam will have a bit across the top, and probably these ties too. And this bit goes on the top. Okay, so you find the middle bit, and you're looking for, depends on how long the string is either side, you're looking for trees probably about this distance apart. These, they're not even knots really. I'll show you at the end when you put it away how to tie them up. Soldiers use bungees because they're soldier proof. These, and more convenient. The string just gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of kind of where you can go. But what you don't want is that you just wrap all this back up and stuff it in at the end, because it comes out like one big knotted, tangled mess that if it's raining and cold and you can't feel your fingers, it takes you 2 hours to get all the knots undone before you even start getting your Basha up. But I'll cover off kind of how to put that up later. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of quick release knots. Okay, so you take your string about head height, so you just want it comfortable enough that you can stand under your Basha and not have to stoop and kind of break your back. You're going to go around the tree and you're going to pull the string down over the hands that way. So thumb up, hand out. And you come up behind, bring it across, thumb down. Does that make sense? Then you're going to put it through and just pull it into a slip knot. And that will be fine until I come to take it down. Then when I take it down, just a pull and it's off. Okay, so it's just a really simple, really easy slip knot. So once again, thumb up, fingers across, come up behind, come around the other side of the string and put the thumb down. Take a bite on this hand, put it through, pull it tight, and slide it up to the tree. I'll come around to help you with that if you're struggling later. So then you get the other side. Then about head height. And this is going to be your tensioning knot. So this one goes over the top. Comes around, pulls it tight, and then just wrap it around the tree a couple of times. Then take a bite over the top, pull under, and again pull tight, okay? And that, just a quick easy knots, and that's going to be fine. Okay, then on the sides, so if this tree's close, you can peg these out to trees. These are just your kind of side knots, or and make a biodegradable tent peg. Okay, for this one, you're going to come. If you're not sure of the knot, just come around. But again, it's a tensioning knot. So you're going to come under, come around a couple of turns, make a D over the top, come up through. Again, it's a tensioning knot. You just pull that at the end and it comes loose as a slip knot. Okay, so we're going to do this on all four. And obviously it goes without saying, but you see the corner coming out, so try and get these as much as you can on the corner and it'll pull it all tight. Because what you don't want is a basha like that the water will just build up and start dropping into your camp. So get it on the corners and really peg it out well. Unless you had a bit of rain actually, because it softened the ground up. Okay, so that's the simple bit about getting your basha up. So now I've got a safe dry space underneath that I can do kind of the rest of my admin. Do you want to do, without sort of doing the rest of it, do you want to do this bit first and then come back and do the rest so that before the knots and everything go out of your head? All right, they've probably already gone out of your head, yeah. All right, give it a go and then I'll call everyone back in. Now that I've got my clean dry space, I can take a bit more time and I can expose a bit more of the interior of my kit because I'm not going to get it wet if it's raining. Obviously if it's dry it doesn't matter. But somewhere near the top I should have my hammock. I've taken it out of the bag. Oh, also remember I told you about this bag and I'd come back to it. So this hangs on your basha there, so that when you next need it, it's right where you're going to need it. I guarantee you when we come to packing down in 4 days time, someone will be going, I didn't get one of these. You know, it wasn't issued to me, or mine didn't come in one. And it'll be in a pocket somewhere, or in the bottom of the rucksack, or hanging off a tree somewhere. So put this exactly where you're going to need it, right at the end. Okay. So then, most of you have got a couple of options. You'll either be sleeping on the floor, or you'll be sleeping in a hammock. Okay, so first of all, if you're sleeping in a hammock, your hammock has probably got 2 tapes coming out like this, and some of you may be using your brand new hammocks for the first time. So this, a few smiles. So the tape comes around the tree that your Basha string is on. And these tapes are designed to be pretty foolproof. So obviously make sure that your hammock is under your Basha for obvious reasons. So just enough is okay. And then this is really simple. You're just going to come back around the tree, and a shoelace knot is absolutely fine. I'm just going to tie a shoelace knot, and that is going to, apart from someone who's, and I'm sure that, you know, someone who's really funny that comes along in the night and just undoes your shoelace knot from the other side, apart from that, it'll hold you fine. Check it first with a bit of weight, then kind of sit in your hammock, and after a while you'll get pretty good at just getting in and getting out of a hammock. People think a hammock will be really uncomfortable, but actually it doesn't take long to get used to it. And a good point, all of you, unless you're used to doing this, and even if you are, all of you tomorrow morning are going to say, I didn't sleep at all. You'll say, I hardly slept a wink. But it's just that you will have, and you won't feel as tired as you think you would if you haven't slept a wink. All that happens is, in this kind of environment, you're more aware of your sleep cycle. So when you wake, you kind of look around, and then you kind of go back. At home, you're not even aware of your sleep cycle. You wake and go back to sleep without even realizing it, but you'll know it here when you wake. So it'll feel like you haven't got much sleep, but you have. Okay, if you're in a hammock, still, so again, with your hammock bag, put that where your neck's going to need it. So all of my kit is waterproofed. So really I've triple waterproofed everything. Because it's also, as you saw from the video, inside my bivvy bag. So if you're in a hammock, you'll think initially that you don't need it, but you do. Your roll mat goes in as well. So your sleeping mat goes in. So this serves a couple of purposes. Number one, it'll keep your hammock a little bit more shaped, and number two, you'll get very cold if you try and sleep in a hammock, even in a really warm sleeping bag, without this, because the cold air will come up and kind of freeze your back. So you do need a sleeping mat. Then the last thing in here is my sleeping bag, bivvy bag. Always give it a good shake, because you never know what friends you brought back from the last trip.
They'd be pretty hungry by now.
Yeah, yeah. And that goes in there. Then you've got plenty of room then for your nightstand, coffee maker, toaster, yeah, cuddly toy. So that's it. If you haven't got a hammock, you just put the roll, check the ground first, clear any obvious bits away. No need to rake it or anything, you know, just kind of clear any obvious bits away. Sleeping mat down, bivvy bag, sleeping bag, and that'll be absolutely fine. Everyone okay? Okay, I'll do a walk around in a minute. So.